Okay, we are working on the independent project for Excel chapter 2. So it's independent project 2-4. In this project, we're going to be doing some formulas. We're going to be specifically using VLOOKUP and SUMIF, and we're doing some cell references and then also maximum, minimum, and average. So I've already downloaded the file, and I have to click Enable Editing to start. I don't have to go ahead and save. I'm going to just keep it on my desktop. That's where I've already got it saved. But you can save it if you haven't already downloaded it. When you go to open it, click File. Oops. And then Save As. And that will go ahead and allow you to save it into whatever file you want to see, or location, excuse me. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to start with step number 2. So it says in step number 2 to create a VLOOKUP function to calculate the bonus amount. So I'm going to click in cell I4 and on the Employees tab. So I4, and I'm going to type in the formula. So I'm going to use the formula lookup. So I'm going to click on the Formulas tab, and I'm going to go to the Insert Function button. And I'm going to type in VLOOKUP. And I'm going to click Go to search. And there it shows up. So I'm going to choose it, and I'm going to click OK. And so now for the lookup value, I'm going to click on cell H4 because it says to use the base monthly salary as my lookup amount. So that's what I'm starting with. Okay, and then for my table array, it says to use the bonus sheet tab. So I'm going to click on the bonus sheet tab, and I'm going to basically highlight all of the data here. So it should be from A4 to B8. I'm just highlighting the numbers. And then for the column index number, I'm going to type in column 2 because it says use the second column of the table. And so when you look at your formula up here, it should match what shows up in step number 2, letter E. So it should say VLOOKUP. It should have H4, comma, bonus with an apostrophe, and then A4 colon B8, comma 2. If you see this on your screen, then you're going to click OK. And that's my bonus amount. And then it says to apply absolute values to the cell references. So if you take a look at your formula, you have 2 cell references. You're going to put an absolute value around just the ones in the bonus worksheet. So you don't have to put an absolute cell reference for H4. But we're going to click somewhere in the A4 here, and I'm going to hit F4 on my keyboard. Function F4. And that puts the dollar signs around. You could also just type dollars. Then I'm going to click somewhere in the B8, and I'm going to hit F4 also. And then hit enter. The number doesn't change, but it just creates an absolute reference to those cells. And now I'm going to copy the formula. So I'm going to click here, hold this fill handle, and drag it all the way to the bottom. And so these are all my bonus amounts for each of the different employees. Okay, and now I'm going to now create a formula in the total monthly salary. So it says in step 5, type a formula in J4 to calculate total monthly salary. So we did this in the guided project. Here's where you kind of got to know the math. Basically, your total salary is going to be your base plus whatever your bonus value is. So in J4, the formula I'm going to type is equals my base monthly salary, that's my starting point, plus, and I'm going to use parentheses because I'm going to have to add some multiplication in. So we're going to have to follow the rules of order of operation. To calculate the dollar value of my bonus, it's going to be my monthly salary times the bonus percentage. And then I put my end parentheses. So that's what your formula should look like. And then hit enter. So there's my total monthly salary. And now I'm going to copy that. So I'm going to put my mouse over the fill handle and drag down. So there's my salaries for each of my employees. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip down. It says to go to J15 and auto sum. So I'm going to basically add up all of these salaries to give me a total. So I don't have to leave the formulas tab. Auto sum is right here. I'm going to click that. And I don't want this the last cell. So I'm going to change this to say J13. So I don't have that blank cell there. And then hit enter. So this is the total of all my cells. And the last step of part 6, or last part of step 6 says to apply the total style. So I'm going to click on the home tab, and over here is where my styles are. I'm going to click the more, and I'm going to go to total. And all it does is add the borders and changes the font style. Now I'm going to click in cell B26. I'm on to step number 7. And it says to create a SUMIF function. So I'm going to use this and I'm going to click up here rather than going to the formulas tab. I'm just going to go up here and I'm going to click the insert function. And I'm going to look for SUMIF. So I type the words and then I hit go and it searches. So SUMIF is the formula I'm going to use. It says to use the column D for the range. So I'm basically going to highlight all of the different branch names. So it should be D4 to D13. For the criteria, I'm going to click on D4 because I want to add up the salaries for everybody in Cameron Park. And then the sum range, I'm going to basically click on all my salaries. And then I'm going to click OK. So right now my Cameron Park is, the total of my employees working at Cameron Park is 52,505. And it says to edit in step 8, edit to include absolute cell references. So I'm going to go up here and for each of these pairs of letters and numbers, so D4, I'm going to click and I'm going to hit F4 on my keyboard, click on D13, click on D4, J4, and J13. So basically it's just going to add cell references to everything and then hit enter. The number doesn't change, it's just that the reference to that cell is absolute. And now I'm going to copy the formula from here down through Granite Bay. You notice the numbers didn't change because it's still copying the same information. In step number 9, letter B, it says to change the reference from Cameron Park to Folsom. So if you look in the formula, this D4 in the middle is telling Excel to add it if the branch is Cameron Park. So I'm going to change this number 4, the second one, I'm going to change this to be D8. So it's going to only add if it's a Folsom address. So the number changes. And then for Granite Bay, I'm going to change this D4 to be D7. So it references all the Granite Bay salaries and hit enter. So now I have the different branches added up here. And then I'm going to basically total it here. So I'm going to use the AutoSum function here on my home tab and then hit enter. Now you notice this number should match my total monthly salary here because it's adding up essentially the same numbers. Okay, step number 11 says to use the percent style for all of the data in column I. So I'm going to highlight and then over here in the number category section, I'm going to hit the percent. And then it says for the salary amounts, use the accounting style. So for everything in column H, so I'm going to highlight these numbers. I'm going to hold down the control key on my keyboard and then highlight the salary amounts. So both of these columns will be gray, but you have to hold the control key down to do that. And then I'm going to click, instead of just clicking up here, I'm going to click on the number format button because I want it to be accounting format, but I don't want a symbol. So you're going to choose accounting and then choose none. And then okay, so it makes it look like dollars but no dollar sign. And then I'm going to select everything it says in step 13 from A3 to J30. So I'm actually going to type that in the name box up here, A3:J30. So selects all of that and I'm going to change the font to Calibri size 11. And now I'm going to type in some information. So it says in E26, I'm typing in some labels. E26 is going to say highest salary, and then lowest salary below that, and then average salary below that. Now I'm going to be using some of my functions to look for those numbers. So for highest salary, I'm on to step number 16 now. It says in F26, type in equals MA, and it should bring up some formulas that match. We're going to double click on the one that says max. And then we're going to highlight all of our monthly salaries. So it should be J4 to J13, and then hit enter. For the lowest salary, the function I'm going to start typing is equals MI. I'm looking for min, so I'm double clicking min. I'm also going to highlight the salaries. And then for average, I'm going to start typing average. So equals AVE until I see average. Double click it and then highlight the numbers in my salary column and hit enter. So those are the 3 different statistics related to my salaries. Okay. I'm on to step number 19, and so it says in cell E25 to type in salary summary. And then it says to merge and center cells E25 and F25. So I'm going to click somewhere away to enter, highlight E and F, and then up here on the home tab you have a button that says merge and center. So I'm going to do that. And then step 21 says to format this section so it looks like that. Rather than going through all the steps to do it myself, I'm going to just click on branch totals, and on the home tab you have this format painter. I'm going to double click it, and then I'm going to click over salary summary, and it does all of that for me. So it makes the background change color, it makes the font change, and it adds a border just like the branch totals. So I don't have to do any of that myself. The next thing it says to do is to, in step 22, format the total amounts. So B29, and then I'm going to hold the control key down, and J15, it says to format them as including a dollar symbol. So once I highlight both of them, so I hold my control key down to select both, up here in the number section I'm just going to click the dollar symbol. It adds that in. Last thing, step 23, is adjust the column widths. So I'm going to highlight starting from A and put my mouse over column A and drag it all the way to column J. I put my mouse anywhere on one of these lines in the middle of the columns until I see a 2-sided arrow, and then just double click. And it auto fits everything. So it makes every column fit the text in the middle. Okay. And now I'm done. So I can save, click my diskette up here, and close and upload my file.